My name is Izzy. I'm 17 and I'm a peace ambassador for NVEEE. Self-harm is when you hurt yourself on purpose without the intent of killing yourself. So you might cut yourself or burn or bruise yourself, hitting yourself, or that kind of thing. I started self-harming when I was 11. I had kind of seen it in a movie. I didn't know what it was, and one night I was really angry. I had really low self-esteem. I felt really ugly and bad about myself. So I started scratching myself, and then I was scratching all over my body, and then that sort of escalated to where I looked it up online and I found other people were doing this as well, and I kind of ended up learning tips and tricks from them how to do it, and it escalated there. I ended up actually telling my parents myself. I felt really bad about it and I wanted help, and they put me into therapy. The counselor that I was seeing didn't really help me that much, to be completely honest. He actually made me feel like I was a freak kind of for doing what I was doing, and he made it seem like I wasn't, because my self-harm wasn't as severe as he said that it could be, then obviously I wasn't going through as much pain as I could have been. So that kind of pushed me to keep doing it more and more until I was self-harming several times a day, every day, for a year, 2 years. And then my wardrobe completely changed because I had to work so hard to hide everything. So I wore long sleeves in 90-degree heat, and I never wore shorts. I always wore long socks. I had bracelets upon bracelets all over my arms because I just needed to hide everything. And it wasn't until I actually ended up in the hospital and needed stitches that things started changing for me, and I had to really focus on getting better and not choosing self-harm as a way to deal with my problems. I thought that that was the only way that I could express my anger and my frustration towards my family or myself or my friends. Students might self-harm because they don't feel that there's any other way to cope with whatever it is that they're going through. So they might feel that the pain, the physical pain of self-harming numbs out the emotional one, or the physical pain is a distraction, or that it might also be a way of punishing themselves. If they're a perfectionist, if they feel that they can't do anything right, then the self-harm is a way of trying to motivate themselves to do better, or just punishing themselves for feeling that they're not good enough. And they might feel that the wound or the blood or whatever it is that they're doing is a good way to see the pain that they're going through, to validate that this is what they're feeling and that it's real for them. There are a few ways that you can know that your child is self-harming. They might suddenly start wearing a lot of long sleeves or a lot of bracelets. They might wear a lot of long pants or long socks or arm warmers and stuff like that isn't appropriate for the weather or the event that they're going to. They might be really adamant about not showing certain parts of their body, like refusing to change in front of you, or not being able to wear revealing clothing like a bathing suit. They might get really withdrawn, they might get angry or irritable, or they're depressed, and your first aid supplies in your house might suddenly start disappearing and you didn't really notice until everything is gone. I was bullied a bit in 5th grade, and I started self-harming in 6th, and the after effects of the bullying that I experienced in 5th did kind of, because it caused such a low self-esteem, I felt really ashamed of a lot of parts of who I was. So the self-injury was a result of the bullying. It was a part of it. There was a couple other reasons, but that was definitely something that played into it. I was very religious at the time, and my class, it was a new school. I had never been to that school before. It was my last year in elementary school, and that was kind of the most important, and my classmates made kind of a point to make sure that I knew that because I was religious and knew that I didn't really deserve a spot to hang out with them. They called me names for studying very hard because I didn't have anywhere else to go. I didn't know how else to deal with being separated and isolated all the time, so I just studied, did well in school. They made fun of me for that. They made fun of me for the way that I expressed my religious beliefs, and they ridiculed me for the way that I dress. They called me, just because I didn't look or act like they did. I was an outsider, and they made sure that I felt that way, that I knew that. The best way that you can help your child is by making it clear that you're there for them and that you want to listen. Don't put them into a hole and say that you have to talk to them, or that they have to talk to you, that they have to tell you how they're feeling, or that they have to show you their self-harm scars or anything like that, because self-harm is really personal and it's really isolating and it's a very private secret. So when you put your child on blast and ask them to show you what they're doing, it's very invasive, it's very private, and it feels very uncomfortable, and it might make your child feel like they can't share anything with you. Another way would just be to not to tell your child that you're there when you need them, when they need you, and you are willing to listen to whatever it is that they have to say. Afterwards, now I don't wear long sleeves anymore, that people can see my self-harm scars. Sometimes people are very rude to me. They'll try to make me feel like I deserve to be treated badly, or that it was something that I did because I'm crazy, and that sometimes does affect me and it does bother me. But since I've been growing so much and recovering so much, it's not as much of an issue anymore. Yeah, so most of my friends didn't really know. In school, because I was wearing so much long sleeves, bracelets, etc., a lot of people didn't know. The few friends that did know, they kind of brushed it under the rug because it's an awkward conversation to have, and they didn't know how to help me. It wasn't until a couple years down the line that I had started getting better, I was in treatment, that I stopped wearing short sleeves, and I stopped wearing long sleeves and stopped wearing bracelets, that people started to find out. And some people did react kind of weirdly. They get really uncomfortable, or they make assumptions, or they feel the need to ask a lot of invasive questions and inappropriate questions. So it just depends on the person, but most of my friends don't really care. Like, they'll just it's just kind of a part of who I am. It's in the past. So they just kind of brush it under the rug. It's not. Teachers will walk by if I'm sitting at my desk, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, are you okay?" And that's kind of awkward to do in class, because everyone just decides, oh, the teacher's upset, we've got to look at what Izzy's doing, and then it calls attention to the issue. So usually I have to tell teachers, like, I get that you're upset, and that I get that that you see it, but don't call attention to it, because it's not a problem for me anymore, and you don't have to worry about it. So I have to reassure teachers a lot, telling them that it's not something that they have to focus on. If I found out that my son or daughter was self-harming, I would probably want them to know that I love them and that they're never going to be alone. And even if they do feel this way, there are other outlets aside from self-harm. There are other ways that they can cope, and that I'm there for them, that I want to listen to whatever it is that they have to say when they're ready to tell me. And they don't have to be afraid to talk about their issues. They don't have to be afraid to not be okay, and that there's nothing wrong with asking for help. Self-harm, it's a coping mechanism in the same way that someone might eat a lot, or they might go shopping when they're sad, or they cry a lot. It's a way to deal with whatever they're doing, and treating self-harm like it's some sort of freak activity that only crazy people do is just going to push the person who's self-harming away. And so it's important for teachers, for parents to know that it doesn't mean that your child is crazy or that they're about to kill themselves. It just means that they have something going on that they need help dealing with. And it's very important that that distinction is made between my child or my student is crazy, rather than they just really need help.
You taught me the courage